Yeah, I mean, I still love Star
Yo,
Wars, but
hey.
Oh,
Sorry. How's it going,
when we're talking
everyone?
about Star Wars.
we're
Yeah,
talking
no
about
Star
Star
Wars
Wars.
talk. We're here to talk about Summer Game Fest and all the associated showcases that have been announced happening around it.
Yeah.
But as you see, I'm joined by Isla, Blood, and Ben here. How's it going?
Sup?
Hi. It's
Yo.
going well.
Sup?
Yeah, things are a
Um,
little crazy this week, chat.
oh
Sorry.
yeah, is
Things
there
got a
any,
little
yeah,
nuts.
yeah, is there anything that needs to be said, or I was kind of like tuned out during that part, plus my
Um,
PC was
Oh yeah.
crashing.
Brad is a positive test, so he's out. Huber's taking care of his grandpa, so he may be in the late. And then Don is cutting the betting special, so that's positive that he's not here.
yeah. He's
Watched
not
through that
that kind
earlier.
of a good kind of positive, not a bad
Yeah.
kind of positive. I just want to say he did not get it from me. I've been in this hotel for 10 days.
Yeah.
No one has been around me.
You've been in hotels for 10 days. You've not been at hotel.
Right, I got to this hotel last night.
That's
I
a new
switched
hotel.
hotels.
I have to say, after Keely's tweet today that it'll be on currently announced games, I think I might have bet too aggressively in the
But
betting
that's
special.
just for his
Oh,
thing. That's
but-
just for his stuff.
That's very
Even
interesting.
so.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
interesting you say that because tonight's gonna I don't know how tonight's gonna go. We were supposed to be in studio originally. We had something slightly different planned for in studio. So we have 2 hours where I have a bunch of questions for the allies. I did think there was gonna be more of us here, to be fair. So this was meant to be like a larger discussion, and I thought you, the community, would be pretty interested in hearing this because one, you don't really get all of us on like the podcast. You don't really get like us discussing things together as a group outside of the group stream. And even group stream, it's kind of just like fun banter. It's not really a serious discussion.
Yeah.
And that's the first question I actually have for you because I'm going in order of the events, and I'm starting with Summer Game Fest. I want to ask all of you,
First,
how do you feel about Keely's manage expectations tweet regarding the Summer Game Fest live kickoff? How does that make you feel, him tweeting that out?
He's made a tradition of those lately. Like the last few Keeley events I can remember, he's said something to manage expectations,
Mm-hmm.
and usually people don't manage them enough. Like we're always like, he's being coy. Is this the time where he's being coy, or is this the time where we believe him? And like,
I think that tweet is forcing me to acknowledge something that I don't want to acknowledge. Because, like you said, Isla, like I'm just so fucking sick of COVID.
yeah,
But the truth is that we're still dealing with the like massive delays of COVID.
yeah,
and so-
good point.
Like him managing expectations feels like totally believable to me. Like I think some megaton stuff is in the works, but maybe we're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, I honestly think COVID straight up just stole at least a year from like everyone, if
Yeah.
not two, for like everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
somebody was saying, Red Letter Media was saying now that like we're now getting the movies that they started filming in the pandemic, you know? So it's like they're all
Right.
like 3 people in a house movies, and everyone's like, we don't want this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder what that's going to look like for gaming, if it's just like everything's delayed a year and a half like we've been seeing, or what.
Right. Well, yeah, that's kind of like my reaction is like, okay, well, the game, even if most of the games have already been announced, it's like there's a lot of cool games that have been announced that have been delayed until next year, or even some that have been announced for 2024. So, yeah, there's a lot that could be seen. There's a lot of, this will be probably more of a Sunday thing. There's a lot of Xbox titles that they've announced and shown us next to nothing for. So I think, we might not get a whole lot in the way of brand new, fresh announcements, but we could still see some pretty impressive things.
The thing
Yeah.
is, really, if I'm just speaking about myself, I've gotten to see Street Fighter 6 gameplay. Like, this is already a win for me.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
I can be happy just off that.
So
Well, that's the thing. Like, there are a lot of really hyped games that have been announced, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Ragnarok, Silk Song, like,
Every time someone says Silk Song, I'm just like,
yeah,
Every time someone says Silk Song,
fool me
Ah!
once,
a
yeah.
bumblebee dies. every
Yeah,
time someone says
absolutely.
Phil.
Let me follow up with this then, because you're mentioning a lot of games have been announced, but a lot of these games have been announced at their own events. Sony State of Play. We have a Capcom showcase. Blood mentioned the Microsoft Bethesda showcase. Do you think it's going to be... how challenging do you think it is for Keighley to have this type of event and make it exciting when a lot of the publishers are probably holding a lot of their biggest stuff for their own things? Do you think that's a struggle that Keighley's going to be able to overcome going forward? Or do you think maybe he needs to try and work somehow to pull some of those games into his event? Or do you think that's like going to be a problem for him going forward?
I think it's very interesting that there was this subtle Summer Game Fest logo on the State of Play that was basically not acknowledged, you know?
Well, because I was just thinking that we had a State of Play already. Will there be more Sony stuff? But that kind of torpedoes that a little, maybe?
Yeah, I totally get what Damiani's saying, because, yeah, if Sony's having, you know, they didn't quite have their traditional show, but they had a third-party show that, you know, was the same caliber of stuff they would have had in their traditional show. And then Xbox is doing their show, and if Nintendo, you know, does something, even if it's not in this time frame, you know, it's going to be kind of big. It's like, yeah, it's sort of like, even from a third-party standpoint, it's like how much stuff is left for standalone show beyond, you know, the indies and the smaller publishers.
Yeah, I think that is something that like is pretty disappointing about just contemporary video game announcements. Like everything is so micromanaged, right? And we can look at so many examples to see that this is the case. Like a good example is Street Fighter 6. Like it was super exciting for it to appear in the State of Play, but even if you look at that trajectory, right, they have a little CG teaser, and a few months later they show a trailer that hints at a bunch of stuff, and then later on we're going to get deeper dives into all of that stuff, like, and we're just going to keep getting updates from here on out. And that's not the worst thing in the world, but like I said, everything is micromanaged, right? That's totally going to happen with the Resident Evil 4 remake as well, where you're going to get, like, you know, another, like, okay, here's what it's actually going to look like for an extended period. Pokemon is another good example, right? Where it's like, here's the starters, okay, here's the legendaries. Like, it's just like everything is just so chopped up so they can keep having presentations up until release, that I feel like the days of like E3 being like just a giant explosion of stuff.
Well, and that could be what Keighley's thing tomorrow. What day is it? Thursday. That could be what his thing is just small little appetizers for the Xbox conference, the Capcom conference, the whatever conference, the whoever conference. Like, we just get the CGs at Keighley and then the deep dives in the next thing. And it's like, do we just see the same 10 games at every event? Like, yeah.
To some degree, yeah. That's one thing that's like really interesting to me, that like Capcom decided to do a showcase, right? Because
we can talk about that now, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
We are on their blog post. There's a link to us there.
Good.
But yeah, it's interesting because they've never done that before. Like, this is the first time Capcom is doing a showcase.
Yeah.
And yet it's
they did a really crappy one.
They did one last year, but like, remember they did they did like a 30-minute. Everyone hated it. It was terrible.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was garbage.
It was pre-recorded
I think
too.
they acted like this is the first time, so that's funny.
This feels
like,
different though.
Last year.
This feels different. This feels like a different type of event they're doing.
Okay. Yeah. But the point being is, like, they already like loaded up that State of Play, and I would not be surprised if they double dip and load up in Xbox as well. So with them also doing their own showcase to deep dive into those titles, yeah, again, it's like what is left there for Keighley's event. But at the same time, like, kind of what I'm thinking is, like, even if like Keighley's actual show is not that big of a deal, I think the value of him like pinning all this stuff together and like getting everyone is like, hey, let's just show up on the same week again.
Yeah, yeah.
Rather than like 2 years ago when like nobody had any clue what to do.
It might be
Well,
That's
Go
a
ahead.
good point.
E3 is going to be back next year, though. So
so says them.
so they say, right?
Yeah, so they
yeah.
say.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But it's
Yeah,
worth
you're
taking into consideration.
absolutely true. I want to get back to that just a second, Ben, because something you were just talking about made me think of it. But before I move on to that, this might be the price of this of Keighley creating the synergy. That the Summer Game Fest, his event, is more just the setup, either the follow up act to some of the stuff that was already announced, plus the setup to larger things. And like maybe that's Keighley's perfectly fine with playing that role, and like hopefully if this happens long enough, this will become the expectation, which might be why Keighley is saying stuff like he does on Twitter, because it's like, hey, it's focusing on announced stuff, because maybe this time it's a follow-up type act to all the things that have been announced, and maybe small teasers to what we will see later. But I think it's as long as if E3 doesn't come back, I think this is something that it could be good and can get bigger. I just don't know how he's ever gonna get like. He might have something of like a one Elden Ring every like other year, but I don't expect him to ever snag like the biggest things from the other publishers, because as long as they're doing their own events, they're gonna keep those there. And maybe Keighley gets like the
We're
deep
saying that
dives.
One Piece RPG.
Yeah,
Announce that.
yeah, but that's because like that's Bandai Namco, right?
Yeah.
They haven't announced the showcase, so it's like, yeah, we're gonna start. This is how we'll go each year, Blood. We'll get to a year. Who doesn't announce a showcase? All right, they're gonna be in Keighley's thing because they're not doing a showcase. But sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Elden Ring is actually really interesting because, like, obviously, yes, it's a huge deal, right? And it's an incredible game, but that game was gestating for so long right after its initial reveal that, like, I don't know, I just wonder if it just showed up at Keighley's just because it was the right time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I think when was the original teaser? Was that during an Xbox conference?
Wasn't it like...
That sounds right.
I want to say it was an Xbox.
Sounds like it was Xbox. Xbox 2019.
Xbox
Chad is saying
2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
E3,
Okay.
E3 Xbox 2019. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Game Awards, Keighley has higher potential for getting megaton stuff because he's the only show in town.
Yeah.
This like he's definitely kind of the kickoff, the springboard for the other people.
I'm glad you bring up Game Awards, Isla, because everything is about like being established, and I feel like if you look at like the initial Game Awards versus where we are now, I think it's easier for Keighley to get bigger things just because he's been doing it for so long. And well, like, yes, of course, Jeff Keighley is super established in the industry and he does have the Game Awards. This is the first time he's like taken the place of E3.
Yeah.
So to speak, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of pseudo did it last year, but like this is the first time. Yeah, he's the only one.
Ben,
2020. Yeah.
Ben, this is what I actually wanted to get to that I was holding off on, is Keighley as a replacement for E3. I personally don't feel the strength is in his kickoff live. The strength would mean the value he could bring would be bringing back a traditional like show, like in-person stuff. Now it's now public that there's a little bit of that going on, but that's more akin, it sounds like, to what his Judges Week used to be versus at a convention center where they have the booths and stuff. Is that something that we want to see Keighley try and strive for going forward? Like, forget E3. Like, we really don't want like ESA to like bring it back as is, but like, is that something you would like? Because what you were talking about, Ben, about like the kind of like the explosion of like information and news, part of that 1-2 punch was going to the show. We get the announcements and then go to the show floor, play it, and this tidal wave of impressions. We're kind of been losing that for the last 2 years. Is that something Keighley could bring back, and should he focus on that a little bit more going forward?
I mean, the tidal wave of impressions is so important, and like we're just straight up not getting that in the same way this year. So Yeah, Damiani, I think like the bigger problem though, at least like from a spectator viewpoint, is just the way these presentations happen now. Um, like Sony's State of Play, for instance, like didn't feel like a traditional Sony press conference, right? Like Sony press
Mhm.
conferences
Yeah.
have their own flavor, they have their own sense of grandeur. Like it's the format for the State of Play is fine, but it could be any company. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing special about it. And so I think that's what we're really losing quickly is just kind of the individual personalities of so many of these companies. That's not true of Devolver, which I did watch, by the way, and was hilarious.
So you
But
saw
I'm
the ending.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw the ending. But
Wait, did their press conference happen already?
No,
No,
the,
they had a
the
teaser
trailer
for it.
setting it up.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, the
Um,
funny thing, Ben, is like Sony pulled out of E3
Yeah.
what, like
2019.
Yeah, and it's like, so E3 was already shifting and changing. It almost feels like COVID is like a handy excuse that all the publishers can just be like, no, we're done with the ESA, and like they don't have to catch flack for destroying it. But like it seemed like everyone was kind of on the outs with them anyway.
Yeah.
the thing is like from their perspective, it's like, yeah, if you show up Final Fantasy 16, we're gonna be there. You could spend so little money just like dropping a trailer, and like
Yeah.
you're gonna get a similar amount of eyeballs versus spending all of the money to rent out the space or to like set up a stage and coordinate all that stuff. Like just from a pure production standpoint, they're probably like so stoked that they don't have
Oh
to
yeah.
do any of that
Which is
stuff
like,
anymore.
I've been saying, I don't know why companies don't do directs ever since Nintendo started doing them years ago. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is way cheaper. Like, it's not free, obviously, but it's way cheaper than setting up a stage and doing all the design and all that set design. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and booking the whatever venue,
right, exactly.
8 months in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're Microsoft, where you have the Microsoft Theater and it has your name on it. So.
Well, yeah,
You get it for free.
yeah,
Yeah.
as far as I know, they don't own it. It's just they're
I
the
know.
sponsor. Yeah, but here's the thing. I do hear over the last 2 years, I've seen some complaints about press conferences being heavy on announcements, heavy on trailers, light on actual gameplay, and it's been kind of
Yeah.
like, and because
Oh, yeah.
we've lost the physical event of E3,
Mhm.
again, this is something of a strength that Keighley could bring back. I feel like that can maybe remedy that situation. So I feel like it's almost one of the biggest asks that the average consumer wants to see again is that, man, if you're just going to show me a 1 minute CG teaser, have a playable demo at a show or something that week and let the media outlets go play it and talk about it all that week. Like, it feels like this is over too fast. Once these conferences are over, there's no follow-up like we used to have with all like the hands-on sessions. And I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think it's kind of like diminished the impact of what E3 is, and as well as what Summer Games Fest is right now. I think it could have more oomph if it had even just a 2-day at conference, exhibit of some kind where everyone was going to it again.
Yeah, Damiani, I don't disagree with you. Honestly, though, I think it's just like thanks to just social media and quick impressions and everything like that, I think these companies are scared because if your game shows bad, I think it's like really, really, really hard to overcome. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of companies are being like, okay, we could probably show it now, but let's just be extra sure, right? Because that way we won't get the like, oh my God, have you seen like this glitch or whatever, or this makes me worried about it, right? Like, I think they're pretty much they're trying to set themselves up to avoid as much backlash as humanly possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
and
right.
like, you have to think of the realities of these production studios too, the developers, because like, COVID is still like most people are still work from home or a hybrid scenario, and like making the extra effort of making a vertical slice for a demo for E3 or Summer Games Fest or whatever, like that's a lot of extra strain on an already strained team. So it's like I could definitely see why they're not. Because I mean, like, we all want the thing where they just put out a bunch of demos for everyone to play during
Right.
Summer Games Fest, right? Like Steam demos, and they do that. But like, what we've always been saying is like, anything on the show floor, just let everyone play them at home too. But it's like that is a colossal amount of work.
Yeah.
That's all, unless they do like cloud streaming. Like, yeah, I don't see that being a thing
Or
that they
just
want
like
to do. Yeah.
making demos in this time, even if it is just media, is what I'm saying though, is like pretty
Right.
tough if you're in a like, you know, already behind schedule, work from home. Yeah.
For sure,
And
it
then,
definitely takes
like
up
you're-
time.
Yeah, like you were saying with social media, though, you know, like one of the things with E3 impressions is like, you know, you'd always have to ask, you know, unless you're Rich Brown, you'd always have to ask whether or not you could shoot something, you know, that was on the show floor, you know, and you know, back in the day, they could, you know,
Is that a shot fired at Rich?
Rich would yeah, Rich was like the definition of guerrilla camera work at trade shows. Like we would get the footage, and if we got in trouble for it later, whatever, who cares?
Better ask for forgiveness
That's
than ask for permission.
You could post it if you could get it, bro.
Rich would be two booths away and like zoom in on somebody's screen, you know.
Oh my god!
Gotta get those lens.
Creepy.
Yeah, gotta get the sniper shots. Like.
Yeah.
But that's like, yeah, you missed that.
I want my
Okay.
240p resolution of
Yes,
Silent Hill gameplay.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Blood.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's
what
why we
what I
have.
want, bro.
That's why we had on game trailers like
Dude,
the only footage
yes.
of that Iga Castlevania game that was
Or-
at Tokyo Game Show.
We had that. Blood, do you remember like the mandate we had to go get that Zelda demo thing for Wii U? Like,
Oh right.
we kept being told go back and get a better
Yeah, we
footage
weren't allowed
of
to
it.
shoot it, but we kept
But they're
being
like,
told to shoot
they
it.
kept told
So we,
like,
stitched together like two different shots because it was on a loop. So we got half of it with one person, another person got the other half.
it was so
and then we
bad.
Somehow cut it together.
Had to find like a large enough crowd to just be behind and like, okay, we're just like shit. It was like a game in itself.
But that's the thing is, you know, that was a lot easier for on the publisher's end. It was easier for them to try to lock that stuff down when we had, you know, everyone walking around was using FS5 or something, right?
Right.
You know, you had to like put a tripod down to get any kind of shot, and like now someone just like pulls out their phone, you know, on the fly. And so their demos, if you know, if they don't want anyone to see it, if they want to try to not have people, you know, outside of the trade show see it, then they just don't have that option really. Like they have to put it behind
you can't
closed
put it
doors.
out there.
Even then,
If you put it out there, you're putting it out there now.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
everyone's gonna see it.
Look forward to seeing Rich Brown on next month's Mysterious Monsters.
Oh, nice.
Also, watch this month's Mysterious Monsters. Why does an episode of Elise, James, and AJ have so few views? What the hell?
Something I do want to say though is like, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I would assume that a lot of other people are feeling this as well. Like, it feels like more should be happening right now. Like, like it feels like, like there should be more big games and more like, obviously, you know, we haven't gotten through Summer Games Fest and the other shows, but I don't know, you can feel it in real time that like this isn't how things were originally planned. It's so strange.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, it doesn't feel, obviously it doesn't feel like E3, and it hasn't for a couple of years, but like, yeah, it's like the dawn of the 0th day right now, and it's just like, what's even gonna happen? I don't know.
The problem is, right, because like I was saying before, like people would book stuff 8 months in advance. You know, we would already start, you know, we would literally be starting on our side of things with, you know, the first E3 talks in like, you know, December, January. And nobody's had a chance to know what's going on. Like E3 was so flaky this year, and like, are they doing a show? Are they not doing a show? Are they going to do a digital show once they canceled the real show?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, some of that stuff that was probably already planned got filtered into this, but nobody was really in a place to prepare. Nobody was really in a place where they could actually say, okay, we're going to plan ahead. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So we need to like get that stabilization. It's like we need to get like not next year. We're still not sure what E3 is going to do. So it's like it's probably going to take the year after that. It's probably going to take 2024 before publishers really start to like get a rhythm. I was like, okay, this is the direction that summer's going. You know, whether E3 comes back or Summer Game Fest just devours it.
Well, and it's like Damiani was saying before, or Ben, where it's like we need that unifying force. Like I had heard a rumor from a friend of mine 3 or 4 months ago that Jeff was doing like a physical thing, and I didn't know. I'm like, oh my god, is he doing like a show floor? And it turns out to be the thing that we know about. But like, obviously, I couldn't say anything about that. But like, I was like, oh my god, that could be awesome if it's Keeley just doing the thing. And I think there is a reality where next year or the year after he just does that, and it's like basically for all intents and purposes, maybe not right away, but like in a year or two, a few years, it's just E3 again, but it's somebody else in charge of it. Like, I think that would be rad. It just needs somebody to run it. Like someone who understands what's going on and is a unifying force to push it. Like the ESA, yeah, they're just like Chet say, they're just so wishy-washy that it didn't give anyone the time to drive.
It's not just that though. It's like, bro, Nintendo, are you doing anything? Like,
right. Why do they love just telling you the day before? Why do they do that?
We're in it, man. Like,
yeah, like, tell us.
Where are you at?
I mean,
where are you?
They don't have to. They don't have to tell us.
See, like, okay, I'll call them out on this because I think it's bullshit. But like, I understand why they won't say this. But like, if you're not gonna have something during the biggest week and a half, can you just speak up and say we don't have any plans for this? Like, what is so bad about just telling everyone no? I know why, because they're gonna get a lot of hate. People could be like, "Oh, you have no, what's going on, Nintendo? What's wrong?" Like, they don't want to draw attention by being kind of like, you know, letting it slide under the radar, not saying anything. It kind of like it's like a slow drag of that, like what's going on. So it's not like all focused at one. So it becomes kind of like an event like thing. So I think that's probably their logic, but also Nintendo does what they do. But I wish someone could get them to play ball a little bit better when it comes to this. And like, that's one of my highest hopes in the coming years for Jeff is if he could, like, even if they're gonna keep doing their own thing, which they will, can he just get them like, hey, when we announce Summer Game Fest, like, here are the dates we're gonna announce. You need to tell us by then. That's part of the deal if you're going to be a part of this. Obviously, Nintendo will say no and walk away from it, but it'd be nice to, even if like Sony gets on board, if everyone's on board but Nintendo, but you know what? Sometimes Nintendo doesn't even care about that, but you know what? It still doesn't make it suck any less that they just do what they do. Yeah. I wanted to say one quick thing about the demo stuff. One of the things I've seen over the many years, even before the pandemic, was why doesn't like these companies put out all the demos that they have on the show floor just for people to play, either like online, digitally, and stuff? And there's like a whole multitude of reasons why they would never do that. So like we're never
barely work
because leaks like data mining and stuff, so people get access to the game. Also, a lot of those demos we played had appointments for, it's a very controlled environment. Even though things could go wrong, they still have the people there, their staff there, so like they're talking to you. They're kind of like, you know,
we see a lot of debug menus, chat.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it's not like cleanly packaged and digestible for a consumer thing. They're like going into a debug menu and like resetting things.
Exactly.
And, like,
Yeah, and I would say more than half the time, maybe, like certainly early in a console cycle, it's not even running on the hardware. It's on like a PC hidden behind
under the curtains,
wooden box under a curtain.
They would always and, like tell you not to look there.
It crashes, and then they move the curtain around. And it's like that's just a computer.
Yeah,
like a very specific computer that any different specs it wouldn't work. So it's just it's like.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is sure PS3 or whatever. Like there's so many demos.
Well, then
like, that's not a PS3.
I don't know if you I don't know if you've ever seen the PS3 dev kits. Rich Brown had one of those too. But just those massive pieces of machinery. Good grief.
Dev kits sometimes are so funny. They just have like random stuff like hanging off of them.
Right.
They look like a David Cronenberg creation. They're so funny.
But the other thing I was thinking about demos, not in the same sense though, is when we're talking about these showcases, like the thing about these packaged showcases that is missing that the live events had is somebody actually live playing the game. You know, it's like, even if they somehow stitch gameplay footage together, it doesn't have the same impact as, you know, of seeing, you know, them get up and play God of War for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes both ways, right? It goes from the impressive showcases to the Skyward Sword not working, you know, because they didn't anticipate the amount of wireless interference or whatever. But it's just, there is definitely something about seeing a game actually being played when you're watching it that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's the thing, Blood, is like E3 was exciting because it had that element of humanity to it, right? And like sometimes that means human error or like just things not going wrong. But that was what that was like.
Human smell.
There was that like excitement about it, right? Like just like it felt almost improvisational, and now everything is like so controlled and like so packaged. It just doesn't have
Uncharted
the same
4,
impact.
right? They made like a trophy out of like the E3 mishap.
You know what I will not miss about physical in-person thing is the reservation system that felt like a little bit like Disneyland reservation that Sony did on the phone.
I hated that.
Oh, yeah.
That was a result of them going public. But
gotta get that genie like lightning pass for that Last of Us appointment.
Yeah, on the phone app, and you had to like get.
You gotta be there at 9 a.m. at the convention center to log in and do it. That was.
But
fun.
that's the thing. Like for Keighley to be able to do something bigger than what he's doing this year, that approaches like a general trade show. He's got to find a way to get those guys back on board, right? Like you're saying, PlayStation's pulled out, EA pulled out to do their own thing like ages ago, and E3 had been on the rocks since like the pretty much the turn of the century almost. You know, it's like 2007 was a nightmare year because they were trying to reinvent E3 to keep the publishers from bailing.
Yeah.
So
it's
really. Yeah. It's really a weird problem to try to solve to make a show floor work for everybody. And what's odd is the Gamescom has done it.
That's the thing. Gamescom is like awesome.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Got a gigantic consumer area and a gigantic press area. And
they figured out
you don't even really
need
to go to the consumer area other than take photos.
Yeah,
they announced PT at Gamescom.
But part of the issue is not everyone's going to Gamescom anymore either. Like Nintendo already announced this year they're skipping Gamescom, so Sony hasn't always gone to it either. So that's the thing. You could still have these great in-person events, but you need everyone to show up. So that's part of the challenge.
Nintendo is so funny. Like they're like that popular kid that gets invited to everything. And but you're like pretty sure they're not going to show up. Like
it wouldn't be.
They're like the popular.
They lose
they're
cool
like the
points
popular,
if they show up.
Yeah, except they're like the popular. Like they're not a jock. They're like the nerdy theater kid, but everyone loves them. They still don't always show up.
They're the Ferris
They got a great voice.
Right, like Sony and Xbox are like the jocks, and they might not show up either. But like, they're like the weird cool kid. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Before I ask you this, let me clarify to chat.
Nintendo is Radiohead, yeah.
Sony literally did not do Fast Pass. They did not charge you for making reservations.
Oh no!
You just went on an app and made reservations for free. Like it was not that. Sorry.
And that was the improved system.
Yeah,
because the first year you had to like get there at 6 a.m. and get or not 6, but like 8 or 9 and get a pass for the VR.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Yeah, they all started doing that towards the end. Back to Summer Game Fest, though. I have a question for you about the format of it, specifically the live kickoff. Being one of the last live press conferences, do you feel it still has a place in the current landscape, or do you think Jeff should try to shift it to a pre-recorded production like everyone else?
Nah, I'm so grateful that it's not pre-recorded.
Yeah. Jeff loves it. Like he loves live shows. Like we've all worked on live shows with Jeff. He lives for that stuff. So like even if it would make more sense, he's not doing that. Yeah,
we just gave all the pluses for it. Like And if he did live demos, which I don't think he is, or at least he hasn't, specified that I know of, like that, that would be the place for him to have a leg up, if he had live demos of those games that the other conferences don't. Obviously, there's going to be the, IGN stuff and all that going on as well. But yeah, I think that's really going to be, potentially a key differentiator if people keep packaging their stuff together. I'm curious to see what Microsoft's looks like this year.
Oh, we'll get there.
Because I feel like there's sort of a hybrid. It's like they've got a stage and all of that, but it's pre-recorded.
It seems like Jeff, even last year he was like flirting with the idea of having someone with a controller in their hand on his little stage. Like he was bringing people out, like he had Ash and a few other people out there like with him talking, right? And it's like, I feel like that's one step away from just playing a demo. So this year I wouldn't be surprised if we see like someone playing something. I
hope we do.
Because I mean, it could look pretty cool. Like you put the gameplay up on the big monitor behind them, like that could be neat. I don't know. Yeah,
especially for people in the audience seeing it like that. Yeah. I kind of like back at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, Hall H. You could never see up front the panelists, but they'd have like the big ass like screens like staggered throughout the whole thing. Like be a cool effect to have that, so like everyone has like a good view of the gameplay, so it doesn't matter where you sit. It'd be nice to have that.
If Kyle and the Schick bot, the Schick Hydro bot are on the side playing all the live demos.
Yep. I do want to move on to some other stuff since we thought this wouldn't take enough. We thought we wouldn't have it. This would go by too fast, and we might have enough time.
Like,
so
we gotta go
I want to make easy allies.
So right after that, the next one on the docket that I think is worth talking about is Devolver. I just have one question about Devolver. Honestly, does Devolver now have the best showcase? And are we ashamed? And are we ashamed of how we reacted to their initial E3 conference back in the day?
I'm not ashamed. I've enjoyed it since day one. I've been like, even if it doesn't always land, I love that they're making a swing for it. Like they're ridiculous.
I don't think it's the best conference, but it's one of these things where it's like an inside joke, and so every year it becomes funnier if you've seen it the year before that and the year before that. Sometimes it can be a bit of a letdown in terms of like what they actually show, but
but that's never what you're there for, really. Like, that's how you win, is like you don't even try to do the thing.
Well, like I was saying, like as things get more kind of like packaged and the humanity kind of gets drained out of it, I feel like the personality that they show off is like increasingly appreciated. And like, man, they fucking go for it. Like, you're gonna give me Mecha Suda, like you're going for it, man. And I appreciate that. I really do. I'm super looking forward. Yeah, you do. Sorry I spoiled it for you, but
Chad said it too. I was like, okay. Well, that's the thing. It's just like they're not trying to be the best conference. They're just trying to be an Adult Swim like weird thing, and it's like, all right, sick. Also, like, it's just what it's really doing is it's setting up their brand. Like it's just a huge ad for Devolver. Like all of us know Devolver now and the kinds of things they do because of their cohesive brand strategy, and it's like it's just a huge ad for Devolver, and it works because it's so out there. So it's
the interactive demo they did.
Oh yeah, that
was
great.
Really good. Yeah. I would totally do another one of those.
The Devolver Land one 2 years ago.
Devolver,
yeah.
Where they made an E3 show floor.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like in the future, especially with PSVR 2 coming out, if Sony would ever do like a VR show floor or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Chat brings up when Nintendo worked with Robot Chicken.
I was gonna get to that.
Funny.
Yeah, Nintendo kind of moved away from that. They got a little bit more dry and like by the numbers.
And they did Muppets before?
Yeah, they've had Muppets. They when Iwata was alive and Reggie was still there, they did skits. Like remember the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate unveiling where they fought each other. The 3D. Go ahead.
I'm
Ben.
really bummed at how dry Nintendo has gotten. I miss the older style of directs for sure.
Yeah, like the 3DS
50%?
unveiling with like Bowser coming out and like torching Reggie, like and like sucking in Miyamoto. It was like stuff like
Yeah.
that. Just they don't do that anymore. It's kind of
Yeah. Well, I will say that
it's humanity, as you said.
that was still very much those things are still very much reserved for the E3 directs.
Yeah.
And so I think that the lack of having a cohesive summer E3 event the past 2 years, plus them doing more directs in general, like is probably contributed to having less creativity because they're doing more of them.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious if we did see, a summer direct, whether it would be like the other ones, or if they would get to be more creative in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And chat brings up the Mega 64 limited
Yep.
one, and I did see that. That was cute.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think they were just like, they didn't know probably what they were showing, so they were just like, trailers.
Yeah.
But it worked. It was cute.
All right. Let's talk about Microsoft and Bethesda. The Microsoft Bethesda showcase. I want to start with Starfield. Is Starfield going to be the biggest thing at that showcase? And what does his presence need to be at this point with that delay? Like, what are your expectations going in for Starfield to make it be like worthy of being the headliner at that event?
Show the freaking game.
Yeah,
I don't know
honestly,
why
need
I'm supposed to care about that game other than they tell me it's supposed to be the biggest, coolest game.
Thank you.
Like,
I don't-
honestly, I'm pretty
What the
worried
heck
about
is it?
Starfield.
Oh yeah, I like space games, and I don't care about Starfield at all because they haven't given me a reason. Like,
I mean, I'm
sorry, we've been
interested in it,
waiting-
but
I'm interested, but it's like we've been waiting for Star Citizen. I mean, I know it's like pseudo 3 games are out, but like, what's different about you? Are you Skyrim in space? Like, okay, cool. Are you Elite Dangerous? Like, what are you?
I'm worried that Starfield is just having a bunch of trouble and will eventually limp out and be a major disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it wasn't hitting this year. The second they announced it, I think I even said that. I was just like, no way. Like, you're not even showing gameplay yet? Like, get out of here.
Will it limp out, and then like they'll do the whole like we'll spend a year fixing it, and then it'll be good after like another year, and it's like, wait, what again?
Oh
like,
my God,
why do you do this?
I feel like the industry took the wrong memo from No Man's Sky and stuff, and like I think
Fallout
we saw
76.
Fallout 76. I think we saw from Cyberpunk that it doesn't always pay off, obviously, but like
Right.
I feel like they can't. Like, there was a very brief time where that would work, where you could like come out and then fix yourself and become amazing a year later. And I feel like people are tired of that, and everything moves too fast now.
Well, I feel like with Bethesda, it's like you've done that like multiple times.
Yeah, their games are always broken.
I feel it's been like the same story for like 20 fucking years or 10 years or however long it's been.
Yeah.
I have no patience left. Just fix your shit. I just don't care anymore.
Stop having all your games look like the same engine. Like, stop doing the weird door thing where they just disappear. Like, we're past that.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like I've already given them the benefit of the doubt so much.
One thing I will say, and this may be just like a strategy, branding, whatever thing. This has got to be the last year that they call it the Xbox plus Bethesda conference.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They own everybody.
Yeah.
Why those two? Yeah.
It's
I mean,
obviously Bethesda's a huge
Yeah.
But it's just weird. It just feels like you're not on the same team or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if it was like some weird contract thing or something, because they had their own direct, beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, next year Xbox Activision.
Yeah, what's
Oh,
gonna
man.
happen with that? Yeah, that goes
Oh
through.
my God.
Yeah. Microsoft
Honestly,
plus Bethesda plus
I think-
Activision Blizzard.
I think the last
Yeah.
real Activision conference is Jamie Kennedy. I think he
Oh,
put the
man.
nail in that coffin.
Yeah, but those games
Man,
will
what if
probably start
Xbox,
showing up.
like-
Yeah.
What if Xbox acquires so many things that they have to like change their name to?
Xbox plus friends.
Embracer Group 2 or something.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, Call of Duty
Oh,
thing
yeah.
tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, forgot about
And
that.
then I think more in Summer Game Fest.
Yeah,
There's
we'll
so many
see.
different.
What time is the
reveals.
Call of Duty thing tomorrow?
It is like 10 a.m.
Start time 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Kind of wish we had Huber here for this, but I know the other everyone else here can speak to this. I want to ask about what do you want to see from Hellblade 2 the next time it shows up? Because I know there's been a lot of questions
God.
about that game, and like
Yeah.
another game that's been like we've known about for a long time, and we still really seen very little concrete of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's weird because it's like I want to see gameplay, and it's like, well, they showed us like 7 straight
Yeah.
minutes of gameplay, but it felt so cinematic that it
Yeah.
didn't feel like gameplay. So it was like, like on rails.
It's a
or something.
weird game for me because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, on the one hand, I kind of don't want to see any of it. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, just show me what like normal stuff looks like. You know, it's like
Yeah.
what is going through a level or going through the
Show me a
woods or-
menu.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't need to see any more Hellblade 2
Okay.
because I liked the first one quite a bit, and I know I'm going to play the second one, and I feel like it's definitely a game where a huge part of its appeal is like check out the insanity that unfolds and figure out what's going on in this super strange, fascinating world. And so I don't need to see any more, but I would imagine for a general audience, like there's a lot of people out there probably where Hellblade 2 isn't even on the map. So I just think it's a really hard game to show. Like,
Yeah, that's very true.
I
Chat,
feel like
Chat just raised a good point, like showing puzzle mechanics that aren't just the same thing as, you know, like the first game had like the one kind of puzzle.
yeah,
Like that kind of stuff.
I feel like that's a game where, like, if I was a developer on it, where it's like, okay, we're gonna be super conservative, like we're gonna hold a lot of things close to our chest, and I worry that you could show it that way, and then like it not really be indicative of what that game is about, right?
Yeah.
Or like you could go the other way where you show too much, and you ruin some of the best parts of your game. And so, yeah. I think it's tough.
Yeah.
It's also tough with games like that because you don't know how they feel to play them. Because like it might look really sluggish or something in gameplay demo, but or like a video. But if you're playing it, you really feel the intensity. You know, it's always really
It's honestly, I think Hellblade 2 is one of those things that super hurts from us not having like a show floor to go to and play.
Very good
Like,
point.
like I think Hellblade 2 would be the perfect thing that would really benefit from hands-on impressions, where like somebody like Huber going and play it, like of course that guy's not going to spoil anything, right? But being able to see his enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm, I think would help that game and get people on board.
Oh, that's a moment.
Get in a quiet, dark room behind closed doors and put your headphones on and play that demo.
Yeah. That's a moment that I don't know if we talk about much about, like OG E3. Like even us, when we see someone on the show floor and we knew that they had, you know, the new whatever game that we're all hyped about on their schedule, and you see them, you know, after lunch or whatever, and you're like, oh, did you play it? How was it? And then just the look on their face, that split second, it tells you everything. And you're like, oh no. Like, I don't know. Huber's great at that. Like that little look on his face where you either know like it's incredible or it's terrible. Like,
right.
I love that. And you can't get that if you don't. Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, I agree.
We're gonna have a little bit of that, you know, with this event. I don't know if chat really knows what to expect out of it. It essentially feels like, you know, a very small scale event. I don't even know if like the quote unquote booths will look like booths. They might just be like, you know, TVs with some couches around them. And
it could either look like the Sony like press room, which is
the press.
great.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Or I could see it looking like ID at Xbox. They would like dress it up a little.
I want to say this to chat. there is something that I can't talk about yet that I am really, really excited for. So like good stuff is not entirely gone.
True.
Yeah.
And that's
but it
as vague as I could
like,
be.
In terms of appointments, it's pretty, like, our schedules are kind of empty, and I'm just like hoping that there's going to be a lot more there that we haven't scheduled yet.
Yeah.
So those impressions nights might go a little quick this year.
Yeah, a lot of times though in the past, that's how it has been. Like ID at Xbox or whatever, it's like you have one appointment and then there are 50 games there that you play around on.
Yeah. No,
I don't mean to be. I'm trying to get you guys excited. I don't mean to be an asshole.
You're killing Bloodworth.
I meant that as a positive thing.
You're
killing Daniel Bloodworth.
You're being like Nintendo right now. You're being too cool. I'm just kidding.
That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I'm not trying to. No. I'm not trying to be smug. I don't mean it like that. I'm just trying to get you guys excited.
Don't forget that Microsoft also announced they're doing a showcase on Tuesday as well, which, you know, something like Hellblade might be there. They could do a deep dive on their own, even if it's doesn't show up to be playable in anything. So. And
I'll tell you though, I don't like that strategy.
Oh,
you don't?
Okay.
No, I really don't.
Why?
I think it works with Nintendo Treehouse where they do the direct and they go right into it. I think once you put this stuff, we're gonna do this another day. Like I feel like a lot of the excitement just drops right out the floor. And even if it's games that I think I'd care about, I kind of just don't care about tuning in at that point. And the way that they do those things tends to be like so relaxed or so dry in a way that it's and they kind of they're like longer and more drawn out. It's this weird thing where it's like you've lost the balance. Somehow you've lost the balance where, like, if you had a 5-minute chunk of that gameplay in your showcase, it'd be really exciting.
Yeah.
But then you give me like a 20-minute chunk and the developer's just kind of like shooting the breeze. It just sort of dies on the vine somehow.
Yeah.
Chat, stop it.
Chat's trying to bait Ben, but
we can't discuss.
Ubisoft did stuff like this too at one point, didn't they? They'd have like their presser, and then they'd have like a later thing where they would show off like tune in later for like a more in-depth, and it would be like later that day. It like wouldn't even be as immediate as like Treehouse would be like right after. They would schedule it like later in the day. I remember something about like seeing like an Assassin one, like was it Valhalla or maybe the one before it, where unveiled during their event, and then like we were tuning in later, like, oh, they're showing like just raw gameplay with a developer playing it right now. I was like, whoa, why wasn't this in your showcase? Like, and the wait, I think the immediacy helps Nintendo because it's capitalizing on that momentum. They go right into that treehouse, and it just keeps it running. We're delaying it by like 48 hours after, almost 48 hours after your showcase is a little bit, maybe if they went Monday, it would help be different. But I kind of agree with you. Plus the format, you said Blood doesn't really work out as nicely as something like a Treehouse Live.
My favorite comment is it's Metallica and Smite.
Nice. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for stepping it out, chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You guessed it, chat.
You got it. You got it. Yep.
I wish we had Brad here because I think he might be the biggest fan of this series. Next question to all of you is, maybe it'll show up, maybe it won't. Where can Gears go next that would generate the most interest? For someone like me, I worry about what they could do.
Is Brad the biggest Gears fan?
Is he? I feel like
I don't know.
Okay. I might be wrong. To be fair,
I think he likes it for sure.
Might be wrong.
I don't know. I like Gears, but I don't even know if I don't know if I could say I was either.
Right.
I feel like we all kind of float around that space with Gears.
Damiani, I gotta know how many Dragon's Dogma 2 questions.
We got Capcom's after this.
All
don't worry.
Right.
I have Dragon. Don't worry. We'll get the Dragon's Dogma.
Okay, all right. I'm just making. You're talking about Gears and fucking War. And
I thought Brad was gonna be here, but I didn't want to rule. I mean, it's a valid question. When a series gets that high in numbers and sequels,
pop figure game last
Well,
year,
look what-
Damiani. Gears
I
is
mean-
dead, bro.
One of the questions
It's
Gears
you
is
not,
not
though.
dead.
this gets
Yeah.
Listen, Isla, I know you don't care about Gears, but it's not dead.
I love pop figures. I don't.
Oh, man.
Sophia does. My girlfriend loves pop figures.
That was
I don't
years
know, maybe
ago.
she's-
That wasn't even
Yeah,
last
maybe
year.
she's off those. I don't
Gears is a
understand time,
Huber joint.
Bloodworm.
Okay. But yeah,
But I think yeah, Gears is an interesting one because I have admittedly been totally checked out since 3. I haven't played 4 or 5.
Y'all coming
it's
after me.
But it's like I played a little bit of 5 when I was just checking out the Series X launch, and it's like they're doing some really impressive things on a technical level. I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
they've got to just find a way to just like what we're talking about. They've got to find a way to really reconnect people to the cast and really get people to invest in what's going on, because I feel like you go into that world because it's a really pretty world and the shooting feels good, and the rest of what's going on is just like, who cares, you know? It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
we're
kinda
blowing
what,
up some
like-
more robots, great.
To mirror
Dude.
chat, like I wish Coalition would just do a different thing, kind of like a new.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I played through Gears 4 and I enjoyed Gears 4, but like the story was not great, and like I've started Gears 5 like multiple times, and it's one of those games where I'm like, objectively this is pretty good and it looks amazing, right? And I think there's a ton of things to praise, but it's not one of those games that like is stirring my soul. Like it's in such a weird place where like it is good and there's things to praise about it, but I'm not jumping up and down. And like I know Halo Infinite, there's a lot of controversy with the community, but like playing through the Halo Infinite campaign, you know, pretty immediately it was like, okay, they're doing something new here. I would like to see that for Gears of War. I don't think it needs to be open world by any means. It's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying like that sort of sentiment. Like I would like to see something pretty dramatically different. And maybe Gears 5 has more of that than I'm giving it credit for.
Could hurt Gears for sure.
Yeah.
Because again, like part of the strength of their set pieces, you know, kind of relies on them having, you know, a more constrained, controlled environment that is not small by any means, but there's enough direction there that they can really like, you know, amplify how good everything looks.
Yeah.
Ooh, someone in chat just brought up Unreal Engine 5 for Coalition. That's got me hyped now to see the
That's
new
true.
company who's using Unreal Engine 5. It's gonna look so good.
Yeah.
Man,
Video
all
games.
right. I need to finish Gears. I'm going to install Gears 5.
We got to play Gears.
We got him.
I just need to finish
It's
it.
all ploy.
I gotta
I
finish
just
the
need-
Funko one.
Oh,
Oh my God,
the
Isla.
Funko one. All right. I only have 2 more Microsoft related questions. The next one's important because I think hopefully we should see something of it. If it's no show, that'd be a little bit disappointing to someone like me. But regarding Fable, can Fable can Fable be relevant again? That's my question.
Dude,
to you.
I'm so curious about a new Fable. I really, really am. Yeah.
'Cause it's
Playground
the
working
Forza
on
guys,
Fable?
right? Yeah, Playground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that I think has so much potential, and that's why I'm so excited to see it. Right? Like, what does a brand new Fable game look like in 2022 from a completely different studio that is known for racing games? That's crazy.
Beautiful racing games.
Beautiful
Like,
racing
Forza
games.
5
Yeah,
is
Forza
so
Horizon
beautiful.
5. Forza Horizon
Insane.
5 is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh,
Game
rules.
yeah.
It does not have good character dialogue though.
No.
They
it does
say my
not.
name, Blood. I love it.
Welcome back, Ben.
They pronounce Isla correctly.
Yeah, I
Nobody
think there's a
does
great
that.
chance that Fable won't be here at all.
Okay.
Like someone in
Yeah,
chat
I
Yeah.
think,
said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fair, very
Yeah,
fair.
I don't have a good beat on like where that project is, because the last trailer we saw was just a CG trailer, but I feel like they've been working on it for a good while before that happened.
You know, it would be really funny.
Yeah.
Like they play into the fact that it's playground and like exactly what Ben said. Like in the world, like medieval world, Fable world, just a Maserati pulls up and like the kid gets out of it. And it's just like I don't know. I could see them playing
Fable
with
cart.
it like that. Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so they
Or
really,
Perfect Dark, I wonder.
but
It's
just
probably
yeah, the
not gonna
point
be Perfect
being
Dark,
that they really
for
need
sure.
to
They had to like start over.
they need to hire an amazing writing staff to
Yeah.
make that
Yes,
game work.
please,
You know,
please,
like
please.
because like I said, that's not been their strength. You know, they make
You
great
mean
open
that
worlds.
in Fable you can't just go from area to area opening up new festivals as a story?
Maybe you do.
Maybe
If they're
you
like,
do.
if they somehow like, if they're like, welcome to the Horizon Festival, I am gonna lose my shit. That'd be
It's
so
Fable.
funny.
They
Yeah.
literally just call it Horizon. This is
Yeah.
the wilds. This is where you race.
But the other side of it is it's like it's not just like good,
Fable Horizon.
just like generally good writing that it needs. It needs to be good and funny, right? That's the
Mhm.
reputation of Fable. Like what you know, I don't have a lot of time into the game. I played a few hours of it for Blood Pact, and it's like playing that first game is like, oh, okay, so this is basically Shrek, and
Right.
you have to modernize that. You have to like do that again, and yet be
Yeah.
up to date with like current humor, and that's a hard.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
hard.
Fable is also undeniably British as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
very
it-
much.
If it were easy, Borderlands would do it.
Jeez. Ouch.
But that's the thing. Like Borderlands is like
Yeah.
it hits with some people and it
I
doesn't.
was
hit
just
with
waiting
others.
to get to Dragon's
Yeah.
Dogma 2.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there. I
I'm
promise.
just torpedoing everything now.
We're going down. We're going down. All right.
So
all right.
that very specific British humor, you know, that they
Yeah.
need to represent for Fable, but then somehow also expand beyond. You know.
You know what you do is you get
crazy. It's
you
hard.
get Stephen Fry, you get Hugh Laurie, you get like
Mm-hmm.
some big like British comedians. I think that'd be really funny.
Yeah, which they've had in the past.
Yeah,
Pretty sure
yeah.
They had
Yeah.
some Monty Python guys in the Fable series.
Yeah. Eric Idle and stuff. Yeah, I think he was in it.
So
Or
they
somebody, yeah.
They need to take their time and get it right. So
For
if it
sure,
if it takes time to secure those writers, like take the
Ooh,
time.
Taika. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
Sorry.
I feel like
Make
they
an
announced it-
American
I feel-
version of
I feel
Fable
they
like
announced
The
it too
Office.
soon.
American Fable. That's what it's called. Like something American Fable. Like what is it? Like
Fable shows up.
Yeah, Fable goes west.
Oh god.
It just detects your IP, and like if you want to see the British version of Fable, you have to VPN.
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing for me that I hope is improved, Fable combat is so mediocre. Like,
Yeah.
like I think the freedom and the personality and all that stuff is awesome, but God, I hope the combat is more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
If it was easy, The Witcher would do it.
Yeah. Jeez. I don't know how they would do it, but man, they lean so
I definitely
heavily.
enjoy Witcher combat more than Fable.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
They definitely lean into like the whole decision making, at least in the early goings of the Fable games. And
Yeah.
It's like, can they ever go back to that and make it more meaningful? Because I feel like it was not fully realized in the original games.
Definitely not fully realized.
Yeah.
No, but it's definitely a core tenet of that series,
Well,
which I'm not
keep
as
it,
worried
yeah.
about. I think
Okay.
there's enough. Yeah, I think there's enough foundation and groundwork for that to be a part of the game.
All right, last one for Microsoft, I promise. I was reading some articles, and it seems this doesn't come from me. This seemed to be some other people's concern. So the question is, does Obsidian need to be concerned about Avowed possibly being overshadowed by Bethesda's The Elder Scrolls 6?
No.
Okay.
No,
Elder Scrolls 6 is so far out. Like,
Yeah.
No.
I'd say
They
Forspoken and Avowed might be more.
No.
But I think
don't so
Avowed
either.
is coming out way later. Yeah.
Well, I think Forspoken is such a different thing than what Avowed is going to be.
We'll
anyway.
probably have 3 expansions
do we
for
know what
Avowed before
Avowed
Elder
is?
Scrolls 6 is out.
Does Avowed even have a concrete like?
We just had
I
a
don't
1
think it
CG,
does.
right? I don't know what.
No,
that
it wasn't CG.
So I guess
Wasn't it? Like they shoot the arrow and that.
my
Was
understanding
it
from
always
this concern is that it needs to hit a window. Like, is you're saying it needs to come out like it's assumed it's coming out well before Elder Scrolls 6, but like
Yeah.
it can't slip too far, right? Because the closer it gets to wherever
I don't-
Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, do you think that would be an issue,
I
or
don't-
do you think it's not?
I don't think it's enough of a direct comparison to worry
Okay.
about it. I really don't.
I saw people
We obviously
thinking
need to
there's
know
gonna be
more about
similar.
what that game is, but yeah, you've
Yeah,
also
I
got
think-
Baldur's Gate coming up. You got all kinds of stuff.
It's just like there's so many Xbox games. Avowed is one of them. Fable is one of them. Where it's like it's hard to tell
Yeah.
how far along those are. Obsidian's got a lot going on too, because not only do you have Avowed, you also have
Right.
Outer Worlds
Outer Worlds
2.
Worlds 2.
Yeah.
So, like, on one hand, I could totally see Avowed coming out in a big way here, or it could not be here at all, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Valve
But-
is in that weird place where it's like they could announce a November release date at Key 3, or
Dude.
like it's not there at all.
Somebody was saying possible New Vegas 2 rumors. I would lose my
Oh, God.
Yeah,
fucking
that's-
mind
that's-
too.
I heard about
There
that
have been some whisperings about that. When
Oh, Skate 4. That'd be
that stuff
fun.
happened.
Dang.
Oh, Skate's so long away.
Yeah, they
Yeah, Skate's so long away.
were announcing like, please join our.
Did
let
you
us hire
see
you back.
the like pre-alpha footage that leaks from Skate?
No.
It's interesting. It's like clearly in a developer space where like nothing has detail, and they're just like trying to get the animation and stuff
Oh,
in
okay.
place.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. I did have more questions, chat. 'Cause chat's like saying you forgot about some games here from Microsoft. Like I have.
Wait, a Fallout 1 remake? Are you kidding me?
I was,
That'd be fun.
like didn't talk about State of Play.
I don't want Fallout 1 in first person though. I really don't.
Oh yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
What'd be cool is hot.
I don't know.
Swap-
Maybe it'd be good.
hot
What's that?
swappable.
Hot swappable?
You could go first person and then isometric at will.
I see.
Like that'd be kind of awesome.
I've never heard hot swappable.
You've never heard hot swappable?
Hot swappable.
It's like
Dude.
a hard drive is hot swappable. You can like while it's on, you just go. Pop, pop.
That's what I'm gonna start using that. You know what?
Hot
It would make
swap,
this game
hot
would
swap.
be better. Give me a little hot swap.
Give it a
A
hot
little hot
swap.
swap.
Like
Little
a hot
hot swap.
swappable device. Yeah. Like what? Chat.
swap.
What other things are hot swappable?
Hot swap graphics in remakes like Halo.
Yeah, hot swappable.
Yeah, hot swap the graphics.
Hot swap.
This swap needs to
Stop
be
and swap.
This swap needs to
Stop
be a
and
little
swap.
hotter, please.
Hot swap.
Rare's working
Give
on
me the
that
hot
for you
swap.
right now. Stop and swap. Don't worry.
Key switches are hot swappable. Yeah.
Keys. Yeah, ice key.
Key switches are hot swappable key switches.
Dude, that's pretty hot and swappable, I think.
Hot swap a pizza?
Yeah.
Yes, chat. We'll do that.
Oh, no.
But yeah, we can move on. I questioned about State of Decay 3 and Redfall, but I mean,
Dude.
I know what you want to talk about.
State of
so
Decay.
Why don't we get? We can come back to those if we have time, which we probably won't. So let's move on to Capcom for a little bit. All right.
What do you mean a little bit? If we move on to Capcom, this is the rest of the fucking stream.
All right, it's the
You
rest
know
of
it.
all right, the rest of the stream begins now. What are your
If we move on to Capcom,
what are
it's the
your
rest-
expectations for Dragon's Dogma 2? Go.
70 jobs. 70 job classes.
70. Okay.
70.
12 of which are archers. Various kinds of archers. One class just makes tinctures. Real-time
first off,
walking.
My expectations for Dragon's Dogma 2 is that it would actually be announced in the Xbox showcase.
I think
Ooh.
it's 100% getting announced. I think it's time.
It's
But I'm
past
saying it'll be
time.
announced at Xbox, and then we'll get a closer look at it at Capcom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I don't
we
would-
think
get to see it
Capcom's
sooner, then that'd be
announcing
great.
anything but they still have that, and who knows, maybe something else.
Yeah, if
to,
it's
to
announced
show
as
at
a
these
new
other
thing, it
events.
counts. Yeah.
Here's the thing about Dragon's Dogma 2 that it needs. I think there are a lot of people that get Dragon's Dogma 2 and love it passionately, and there are a lot of people that don't. And I understand.
Love it passionately.
I understand why people don't get it, because Dragon's Dogma certainly takes its damn time
Oh my god.
in revealing its good parts to you. So if you're like, I don't understand why people like this game so much, you are completely justified in that opinion. So Dragon's Dogma 2 needs to be structured and paced much better than the first game. It just does.
Though. Like, here's the thing. Dragon's Dogma was like, it felt like it came from another universe out of time.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
It was doing things that like made no sense for when it came out. Its scope was too ambitious for it to pull off. The pacing was jacked. I think the story was ridiculous. The combat was amazing, but way too protracted most of the time. Perfect video game.
I feel like its otherworldliness could still be.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I want to feel as bizarre and like ineffable as the first. Like I want to not be able to tell if the game is good or not ever.
Okay, here's the thing though. It's like, let me bring up Deadly Premonition 2, which tried to capture the lightning in a bottle genius mess.
You can't do it on purpose. Yeah.
Right. And it just didn't. Yeah. Right. It just didn't do it. Right. Yeah. So I think if Dragon's Dogma 2 exclusively just tries to capture the weird charm of the first game, I think that's like a weird task that might be impossible.
I think that would fail. I think that might be impossible. Like, you can't. It was like good despite itself. I feel like.
Yes. I also think Dragon's Dogma 2 should absolutely be co-op.
Oh my god!
Yeah. That's
with pawns.
No question.
Still
with pawns, with pawns, of course. Yeah.
Both of you have pawns, so there's like 2 players.
Oh my god!
Pawns.
Imagine it's like
4
people.
Pawns.
They each have 2 pawns, so you've got 8 pawns just screaming at you. Is we fire?
Pawn storm.
The female flesh makes him crazy, or whatever they say about that one troll.
But no, and forgive me if this sounds weird or whatever, but I think that one of the reasons that Dragon's Dogma does kind of have this like strange otherworldly vibes and all that is Capcom was still in this space when they were trying to figure out how to capture an American audience, how to be more American, right? Like, I think I saw Operation Raccoon City at the same event that they had Dragon's Dogma at.
Dude, Dragon's Dogma is so not Americanized at all.
Oh no,
but I think that's what part of what they were going for, right? Like they had Bionic Commando going around at the same time. Like,
yeah, but it's not. It's so. That's
what's
so
great
cool
about it, though.
That's what I mean. This is what I mean, though.
Like, It feels like it's capturing attempting to capture something that they don't understand. It's like a Neil Breen movie.
Well, honestly, Isla, I want to give Dragon's Dogma more credit than that, is because it was an open action RPG that didn't feel like it was just copying every other thing. Like I feel like so many of these games come out and it's like, well, it's a lot like The Elder Scrolls, or it's a lot like Diablo, or it's a lot like this. Like, Dragon's Dogma isn't really like anything. And that's what's so great about it. I think that's why people love it so much, because it actually had the balls to feel different, right?
Yeah.
Like think about how that combat is. Like, that combat is so
amazing,
unique and so different from everything else. That's what makes Dragon's Dogma successful. And I honestly think, if done well, Dragon's Dogma 2 could explode. Like, I think it could be a huge, like, Monster Hunter World level of game, because it is so different.
I preach. I agree with everything. Like, yeah, Dragon's Dogma is one of my favorite games ever, and like, like everything that's so quaint about it, that's so lovely about it, is so funny. But it wouldn't work if it didn't have that like amazing core,
Yeah.
like world design, gameplay loop, exploration feels so good in that. Like I feel like they just need to do that, but tighter.
Right.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
it'll feel modernized. Yeah.
like just the way that you just crawl on monsters and like stab them in
It's
the
so
eye.
good.
Yeah, like thinking about that with contemporary hardware, like they're gonna be using the RE engine,
Oh, for
right? Like
sure, right?
this could
Yeah.
be so stupidly gorgeous, and like the animations could be so incredible. Like imagine like going out at night, right? And like
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Well, and like the Bitter Black Isle stuff, like so much cool interior lighting and interior environment design in the Bitter Black Isle area, the Arisen part, the Dark Arisen part. Like, oh, that game is just so cool. I love it so much.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I think like it not having co-op really hurts it because like it's a game that is kind of hard to digest in a lot of ways because
Yeah.
it does play so different. I think when you come to it, it's not like, oh, well, it works like this. Like it kind of operates in its own space. And so honestly, I think with co-op, like you teaming up with somebody that knows what they're doing, I think it'll just open up the accessibility of that game in a pretty powerful way.
Something I do worry about though with that, Ben, is that because Dragon's Dogma 1 on your first playthrough is definitely a game, like if you don't give it the time it's asking you to give it, it won't grab you, right? Like you said, it takes its time about getting there, right? It's not until you get to Grand Soren and like start branching out from there that the game even kind of starts. And that's like anywhere between 1 and 5 or 6 hours in, depending on how much first town stuff you do. I just worry that playing it co-op would feel too rushed. Like they wouldn't let you like simmer in it, you know?
Well, okay, but think about what you're saying, because I feel like
the first one is
the story in Dragon's Dogma. The story in Dragon's Dogma is like the weirdest, truly the weirdest narrative I've ever experienced in a game, where it feels like nothing matters until you're like, holy shit, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like such a long like you could be playing co-op and not giving a shit until all of a sudden you're like, oh my god.
You're so right. Like you're so right, because it's like main baseline game, like Dark Arisen story is interesting too, but that's more of a side thing. But like base game is like, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Who's this jester? Why did I just bang the king's wife? And then it does a thing where you're like, that honestly rivals like Upside Down Castle to me. And I'm just like, okay, like this is incredible. Like what's happening? Like you said, it's just like.
But that's the thing though. Like
ever made.
When you're going into a sequel, right? Like now I know that Dragon's Dogma does that,
right?
And so like, if it's just boring as shit narratively for a long time, like I don't think that, like I said, you can't just do the same thing again, right? So why not, like, you know, have a twist, have a mystery, but pepper that through the story. And that's what I'm talking about with improving structure and pacing, where like get people on the hook immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because in a lot of, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but in a weird way, Elden Ring kind of feels like what Dragon's Dogma, obviously the tone is way different, but like sort of what they wanted to do is Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring is like the greatest pinnacle of that kind of vibe, I feel like, right? Where it's like, it's like lore-based exploration, like very combat focused, but like very on you to explore this world, learn what's going on. Like, you know, obviously it's more story heavy than Elden Ring, but like Elden Ring in a weird way does kind of feel like the FromSoft spiritual successor of Dragon's Dogma in a strange way. I didn't really think about that until right now, but
kind of. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I do think Elden Ring comparisons to Dragon's Dogma 2 are going to be super fucking annoying.
Right.
And like there is some validity there, but I worry that people are going to like take it too far.
I almost worry on for Dragon's Dogma 2 about those comparisons, because it's like, how are you going to stack up? How are you going to stack up?
But that's kind of what I mean though with the combat is like there's kind of this like almost, I don't know, sloppiness is the right word. Like scrappiness is like a better comparison, where like the combat in FromSoft games is immaculate and so clean, but it's kind of what I'm talking about, right? Where you're kind of awkwardly jumping on a chimera as it's writhing around, and you're like killing each part of the chimera and watching it die on its body separately. Like that's so the kind of shit that makes Dragon's Dogma so cool. Or like when one of your pawns is like grabbing a goblin and like holding them, right? And then like when you hit an enemy and they shake, like that kind of stuff.
Or like being thrown off of something. It just like feels so good.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like I think there's kind of like this weird like visceral scrappiness that I'm not saying it's like better or worse than what From Software is doing. It's going back to that idea of it being pink, right? And so like that's kind of what I want them to lean into. Like honestly, man, I think Dragon's Dogma is like primed for like crazy environmental destruction. Like it's totally where like I could see you climbing on a Cyclops, right? And the Cyclops is like, oh my god, and he starts like breaking the castle around you, and it like hurts him and you. Like that would be awesome, and I feel like it totally is on brand for the kind of combat that Dragon's Dogma does.
And then like, or like you cast Meteor and it like breaks a house, and like
totally,
I would love it if like that house then just stays broken in your game. Like that'd be neat.
Or like leaning into like you could you could like light a forest on fire.
Well, I mean, Dragon's Dogma did such cool things with time of day and weather and like obviously the class system is amazing, but like the world felt so alive. And like I've seen a few people in their Dragon's Dogma playthrough where they like venture off the streets, and just the fact that like off of a path is more dangerous. Like little cool things like that, just all the stuff that you can miss, or like farming weird creatures like off the beaten path to like upgrade it. That's something they need to do better in this one. The job system has the most prosaic, bizarre, like Byzantine ass like upgrade path on the planet. Like the jobs are insane. Like to effectively play like a good end game magic archer, you have to beat the game without being a magic archer. Like you don't get to do your class you want to do until like the end of the game if you're like min-maxing it the way they want you to. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not that important, but you have to get the numbers. You have to get the numbers for Epi. Like some of those bosses in Dark Arisen just take forever if you don't have the DPS.
Yeah, I really feel strongly that DD2 could straight up be a Resident Evil 7 or Monster Hunter World for Capcom. Like I don't think people see it because they just don't know yet. But I have so much faith in Itsuno, and you know he's coming off of Devil May Cry 5, which was a fucking stellar game. Like, I think if they do it, they will get it right.
Dude, you saying that it could, like, comparing it to RE7, like, or Monster Hunter World, like, you just like.
I mean, to me, comparing.
Hyped.
Comparing to Monster Hunter, like, I mean, like, it makes so much sense, right?
Analogy,
The think about it though, like, Capcom is crushing it right now.
Yeah.
Like we are.
They're doing so well that like we're just gonna raise everybody's salaries right now. You know?
Oh, Capcom is? Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna make sure that like, our developers. No. The developers is like, we're raising everybody's pay.
Maybe one of you knows this, or someone in chat can correct me on this. Someone told me that isn't as good as it sounds. Apparently, Capcom was paying under the industry average, and that bump was just getting people to the industry average.
Sure.
Apparently, I mean,
But
raises
they've
good,
got
but like
they've got the
already paying
resources
low.
to make that
Yeah.
bump, right?
Yeah.
To put, and and it wasn't just that. It's just like we're investing in like the quality of life in our company overall.
Well, I bring it up
I
because
mean, like-
they did bleed some talent recently. You brought up It's No and Don't Make Cry, but right hand person left for the combat director, left for Square Enix to help with 16. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, I mean, didn't Matt Walker also leave? Saw chat mention him. I
Yeah,
thought I read that.
Matt's
Matt-
moved on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, there have been several of those leaks, like the FromSoft not paying super well reports and stuff. Yeah, kind of a bummer. Anyway, Dragon's Dogma, very
Dragon's
excited.
Dogma. Did you have your fill? Are you good?
Yes, thank you, Damiani.
You
Thank
good?
you.
I can't wait to see it in the next 7 days.
Woo!
All right.
We're gonna be so disappointed, dude. If it's not there. If it's not
What is the point of streams like this if we don't
Oh,
put our heart
exactly.
out there?
We gotta torture ourselves. Silent
Chat
Hill,
says-
it's gonna be at everything.
Chat says, Swordfish says, but Ben, where is Mega Man? Is Capcom's crushing it? Maybe you'll see him soon.
Oh,
Who
we're going to see it
knows?
soon.
That was Damiani's first Capcom question.
Yeah,
and we
actually,
talked
since you
about it
brought
for
up
20
Mega
minutes.
Man, we can go with this
I
question.
told
next.
you.
We can
Yeah.
go with this question next. I'll come back to the one I was going to ask before. Is there a dormant Capcom series you hope gets resurrected this week?
Fucking Mega Man. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Dino Crisis also?
Yeah, it's just like it's funny because announcing a new Dino Crisis will be extra weird now that Exo Primal exists. Like it's
Fuck
like
Exo
it's-
Primal.
They have Pragmata too. Yeah, they're gonna. have some time for these games.
Pragmata. That got delayed though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No.
I mean
so I could see it not being there, but
Mega Man, but specifically Mega Man X. I feel like I don't know. I feel like the world has kind of forgot about Mega Man 11, but I really loved Mega Man 11 a lot. And even if it was that level of budget for like a Mega Man X, I would be so stoked.
Was Mega Man 9 the one that made everybody angry?
9.
No.
Or no, that was
No, Mega Man 9 made people
Think-
very
I
happy.
think
no,
about
it
7.
was it was not Mega Man. It was whatever number 9. Never mind.
Mighty Number
It
9.
was that.
oh my.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mighty
Mighty
Number
Number
9.
Nine.
Yeah.
Infinity.
Never
Yeah,
mind.
Infinity left
Also
Capcom,
was
and then took a long time to make that, and then it was not good.
and earlier
Right.
referencing like some games during the era where he was trying to like push the like Western developer thing, that kind of like and like make games appeal more to the West, which some people fault him for ruining some of those games. But anyway, yeah, Mega Man would be fantastic because I can't tell you a year that doesn't go by where I hear rumors, oh, this is the year another Mega Man's getting announced, or Mega Man X. Mega Man X is finally coming back this year. Like I remember one
Where are
year,
you hearing this from?
there was two like was it December 2019? A bunch of people were like posting on Twitter and on whatever the dominant forum of the time was saying like, yo, there's a Mega Man event in December, and like, wait, what? And like everyone took us back, and like December came and went, and there's no Mega Man event. I'm like, dude, you all suck. I was like, why? Like you were
Ben-
like so sure it was happening.
Ben, you know what I want to see? I want to see a Mega Man that looks like Guilty Gear.
Oh my God, yes.
Whoa,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That would be. Yeah, I would be way into
Like,
that.
that's the direction that series needs to go to like
Ma-
really make some waves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, Blood, and that's what I want to touch on. Is I feel like Mega Man is like in such a strange position because honestly, it's an incredible like legacy title, right? And there are a lot of people that grew up with Mega Man, and like they would just be happy with 2D Mega Man forever, and they're correct in feeling that way. But like I just have to wonder if to like a new audience, if that really moves the needle for them, right? Like. Does a broader audience care about a 2D Mega Man? But then if they do a 3D Mega Man and it's not Legends 3, they're totally understandably going to get a ton of backlash.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know, I like different from Resident Evil, for example, like I think it has like a lower ceiling in a way. And so like, I just wonder, I don't know. I wonder how valuable it is to them.
It is really weird, like working in this industry, and I imagine many of the people watching now kind of experience this too, where you think something is like this huge franchise that everybody loves, and then you find out some weird statistic like only 2 million copies have ever been sold ever or whatever. Like we've heard stuff like that for Metroid or Silent Hill or whatever, where it's like to us these are these mega like life-changing franchises, and
Yeah.
it's like when I heard Resident Evil 7 sold more than all of Silent Hill ever, I was just like, oh, like okay, like
Yeah,
Right.
but
it's always
but
so interesting.
to that point,
Never really
you know,
know.
obviously it's been eclipsed by things like Monster Hunter and Resident Evil,
Right.
but there's a reason
Mega
they
Man's
were
huge.
constantly pumping out Mega Man games for decades,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
there's
Right,
a
I'm just
reason
saying,
that
like-
like 50 of those games exist.
Yeah, but like, it's a different time. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think the thing is like, if they just keep the budget in line, I still think they could
Yeah.
please
Yeah.
that very passionate core fan base, and like that's enough, right? But like look at this, right? Mega Man 11, as of June 2021, had sold more than 1.4 million copies. Resident Evil 7, as of December 2021, had sold 10.6.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
orders of magnitude higher.
How many-
And so
How many? I wonder how many copies Shovel Knight has sold. Because I'm like, just give it to Yacht Club. Just have them do it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think if they did a Mega Man X kind of in the
2.5
vein
million.
of 11, I think it would do well enough.
Mhm.
yeah.
And not every game does need to like also shoot. It's
Yeah,
been pointed
absolutely.
out like as long as the budget is the correct amount for what they're expecting on the return, there's absolutely a place for Mega Man. It just feels weird they haven't figured that out yet. Or if 11 wasn't like as successful, if that 1.4 million copies was enough for its budget, it's like, well, what else
Yeah.
can you do to like make that be successful? Because I just want Mega Man to be back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And, like,
absolutely.
Here to honor Huber is where we go. Like, games need to be less obtuse with their budgets. So we need to know blah blah. I agree with him on that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I really wish we had Huber here for this one, but I think we definitely could talk about this because it is technically announced, even though we haven't seen it yet. What do you want the Village DLC to be like?
Ooh,
'Cause
yeah.
I think it absolutely could be at the Capcom showcase because it's announced.
Yeah.
It's
They
calendar.
announced
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, it's
For
announced.
Possibly could be there.
A lot
Could be
of
there and could be out next week.
some of the Resident Evil DLC
Bloodworth Dome.
that I played was
No
so
reason it can't be.
fucking cool. Like the Resident Evil DLC, some of it is just like some of my favorite DLC ever. But like part of the reason the Resident Evil DLC is so cool, when I think of Not a Hero, and the Zoe one, I'm blanking on the name
Yeah.
for some reason, is because
It's just End of Zoe. Yeah.
End of
Yeah.
Zoe, yeah, is because they're so narratively important, right? And I think if you look at the storyline of Resident Evil Village, there's so many things that they kind of talked about or hinted at that they could dive into with DLC, right?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with the BSAA? Like,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
like there's stuff that you could do like as a prologue to Village. Like, how did these characters get to where they were? Like, I just want it to feel narratively consequential in a cool way, either before or after.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite
Wasn't
stuff...
one of the. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, kind of to echo that, my favorite stuff is always like the B story that happens during the other story, like separate ways and stuff. Like, I would love for that to happen in this. But Village, I think also, because it, how do I say this without spoiling anything? It has to do with the past and the future in certain times of
Right.
like narratively. I think that, yeah, we could do something that takes place, yeah, like Chat's saying, in the 1800s. We could do something that takes place after
Oh my
this.
god, that would be. I would
That'd be
love
fucking
that.
crazy!
Yeah, just like you don't have any guns. Yeah, dude, I'm way
Dude,
into
you
that.
know what? I would want. I mean, like, I think it'd be awesome if they do a few DLCs, and one of them, yeah, is like literally like it starts as like a slow burn, like archaeological dig, and then shit goes crazy.
Oh my god!
Like, can you imagine?
They've kind of already established some sort of groundwork for that because Into Zoe is so cool because you just punch shit and throw spears.
Yeah,
Like they could totally do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say who you could play as, but you could play as one of two really amazing characters in that, and it would be crazy.
Dude, lopping off lichen heads? Yes!
Yeah.
Oh man, this is a great idea.
I'm seeing a lot of people chat say it's going to be Chris DLC. Would that be like the most boring thing to you?
No,
or do you think it has potential? Yeah.
I think
there's
the
a
way
lot of potential there. Yeah.
I think the way they position, like, I'm just speaking for myself. The way they position Chris in the village story, they really kept him super mysterious, and like I want to know what's going on with him. I'd be thrilled just from a lore perspective if we focused on Chris, which like they did
get
with
that.
Not a Hero, yeah.
Yeah, and we did get that you get the Chris chapter in there, and like I think what people didn't like is that it was too like God mode kind of like you had so much, or it's very actiony, I guess. So I do wonder, it'd be interesting if it is more of a like classic Resident Evil, like on your own trying to get from place to place kind of a thing. Like you could do Chris separate ways, yeah. It just, I don't want him, if you do that, I don't want him to be like, because it's kind of weird because he comes in with like all the resources. So it's kind of like, I wouldn't want him to be like a BSAA badass the whole game because it's like, okay, well, it's not what I'm here for exactly, but
yeah.
That's kind of, well, I mean, the Not a Hero DLC I think was pretty good in terms of like difficulty.
That was cool.
I liked it.
Right, I knew his part wasn't like super easy, but it was just very different.
Right.
In Village, yeah.
In Village, yeah.
I think that, yeah, wasn't one of the things that people were wondering about, like, was like turning into a werewolf or something early on, right?
Yeah.
And so like that could be interesting to like play as a character that's like actively turning into a werewolf, or that like you turn into werewolf at a certain point and then, you know, change back at another point, and like you're just like too big to go through a doorway or something. But at the same time, you could like climb up the side of a wall. So, you know, you just go back and forth with, different abilities.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I hope you don't play as a certain person, because that's what I want 9 to be, like the whole thing.
Sure.
Rose?
After this, yeah. But
I thought you were gonna say Ada since she was cut.
Shit, yeah. I mean, I always want Ada in there.
Dude, you give me Ada, I don't care what you do.
Ada just like at a restaurant in New York for 6 hours. I'm sold.
But like, man, Ada DLC could be really cool as well. Like maybe like stealth focused.
Yeah.
Like subterfuge. This is getting me super hyped. Like I am ready for the. This makes me want to do another playthrough of Village.
Do it again, where she's the one who leaves the items for like out there that you find or whatever. So you like, that's why that ended up there, because that was like what separate ways her Simon Ada was. Yeah.
Well, and I was like, she rings the bell in 4 that like calls all the Ganados up.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't that a similar thing happen in this with all the lichens or whatever coming at you, and then like a bell or something calls them all away too. So it's just like, oh yeah, maybe that was.
That beginning part is literally the hardest part of the entire game.
It is
on hardcore.
Yep.
Intense.
Yeah.
Very intense.
It's so funny.
I do have one more Street
Yeah, there's art for her. That's right.
I do have one more Resident Evil question, but I want to ask this since we are running out of time, but I think we'll get to both of these at the very least. And sorry if you haven't seen this. It's been plastered everywhere, so I think it's hard to ignore it at this point. I know it came up on Frame Trap and didn't really talk about it in detail, but I'm wondering, do you expect Capcom to address the Street Fighter 6 leak on Monday? Because Kotaku has headline articles about with the images plastered right on the front
the other
page.
characters.
They've already sort of addressed it.
They did
on their socials. But...
I mean, when you say you weren't supposed to see this, that certainly gives it plenty of credence, right? So I think it's accurate. But in terms of like addressing it, like I don't even know if they can, right? Like they can only show off what is ready. So like
I
I
wouldn't be
don't know.
surprised if a few of those characters are in another trailer in their thing, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I could see like maybe two more
Yeah,
characters, but I don't
because
know
they
that they
showed another character in the end of this trailer. You know, they had her on the screen in the back.
I don't know that they need to address it, honestly. Like the leaks happened, they're out there. Um, they have said, you've seen things that you weren't supposed to see, but like beyond that, I don't think they need to get out there and be like, "Yep, this is absolutely the roster." Like, just I would just continue with whatever strategy they previously had, because like while a lot of people have seen that stuff, there are people out there who haven't or don't follow that stuff as closely. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And
Yeah,
like a
sorry,
name
sorry I
on a
didn't catch
list
they
is
talked
not,
about it.
it's not necessarily like that revealing, right? Like,
Well, it's all character art. Every character's art got shown off. So
It's
like,
pretty
yeah, you know how
revealing,
they all
yeah.
look. So
got it, got it.
so that kind of surprises Ruin, but at the same
but yeah,
time,
it wasn't in game.
yeah, that's the thing.
No, it wasn't in game. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was
So
not
that
in
Yeah.
game. It was concept art,
yeah.
I guess.
So that's another thing that they have going for them, because like having looked at those leaks, some of those designs are really cool and pretty significant for established characters. And I'm sitting here being like, man, I wonder how that translates in engine. So like on
Yeah.
that level, like I'm still super interested
yeah.
in seeing them.
And like Chad is saying, Kimberly, I figured this too. Like Kimberly, I think, is the character that was on the TV at the end of the other trailer in the back. It says new challenger approaches. I think that's the trailer they're going to show at the Capcom thing. Like, why would you tease that in this and not do it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't worry, chat. Maybe Capcom will actually, since they addressed this, maybe they'll address the Blanca flip in their showcase. Don't worry.
The other
I
thing,
think it
Damiani,
flips. I think the Chan counts.
the other
Sorry,
thing,
bud.
Damiani, that Street Fighter 6 has going for it is, while yes, a roster is a huge deal to any fighting game, like we have no idea what that story mode is. We just
Yeah.
don't. We don't.
Yeah.
And like the whole like lobby system that they're talking about. So I do think they have Capcom is fortunate in the sense that like sure they're pissed that their roster leaked, but I think they have enough still to reveal that like the surprise isn't totally ruined.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it still has some mysteries. I agree with you. So I think they.
Also, yeah, like, yeah, what is it, Camarocho or whatever? Like, just like walking around in a street in Street Fighter like that would be so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be very cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, I'm pretty excited for how the characters are gonna look. I mean, I liked most of those images that I saw. Like pretty cool stuff, and can't wait
I
to see
agree
them
with
in
you,
game.
Damiani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I they might see it as bad, but like, hey, seems like the reception to it is pretty positive. So like, you kind of know you're not gonna have any like weird like that character sucks like when you do the official trailers for any of them. So
I'm pretty happy with what was leaked. There are definitely a couple of instances where I'm like, really, you're bringing them back?
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, for sure. All right, the last Capcom question I have. Look, so this kind of the frame of mind I got from this is because all these remakes have been happening for Resident Evil, focusing on the old like the older characters, older games. So, and obviously they've been moving forward with Village and from 7, and supposedly they're working on a 9. So, my question is this. And I'm sorry that neither Brad or Huber's here chat for this, but we'll make do. Can Resident Evil survive without any of its OG characters? For example, could Ethan Winters have carried a trilogy without any connections to past games or characters? Like, is Resident Evil just always going to be reliant on having some kind of OG character show up at some point? Or can they really break away from that?
I think, we all love Resident Evil 2, Damiani. But I think
I know.
I
But
know.
Chat's gonna,
I'm
we're
just
gonna get that chat comment like, where's Huber?
I just think I don't think it'll be a problem because of the story that 8 laid out kind of tied so many things back together again, that I think where they're going to go from now, there are obvious avenues that will involve Winters and Chris's and whoever I don't know that it'll be a problem, but that said, I think that it could absolutely, because 7 is one of the most successful ones, and its
Dude.
ties to the rest of the series are not apparent.
Yeah, that I was gonna say, like, what you're describing is almost Resident Evil 7
Yeah,
already. Yeah, and that
like
that
it's
game,
not till the very end that it ties back
But
in.
yeah,
kind
that
of.
was like one of the big reveals at the end. Is like, oh,
Yeah.
Chris Redfield. It's like, well, you know, are they too scared to completely cut that cord?
I think you could even argue that Resident Evil 7 being so different is why
Helped
it
it.
was so successful.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think Resident Evil is in a position that, like, so many other series wish they could be in, where people are into the new shit and they're also into reinterpretations of the old shit. So, like, Capcom has a lot of wiggle room where it's like,
Yeah.
we can go crazy with Resident Evil 9. You know, we can do, like, and even seeing Resident Evil Village, you know, like its gothic horror werewolves thing was pretty wild at the time. I think they can go as crazy as they want, and then they still have the benefit of being like, hey, remember how much you loved Resident Evil 4? Like, they get to
Right.
they get to do both, right? So, like,
Yeah.
people can't really be pissed, I don't
But
think.
not only that, like, I've loved what they've been doing with these remakes because they're sort of like fixing the dents and like making the story cohesive again. And like even in this first trailer for RE4 remake, they show scenes that weren't in the original, like him talking to the president and stuff that we got in other games and other materials. But like they're like smoothing out all of the stuff. Like obviously I don't think they're gonna remake 6 or anything like that, but like I think that they're going to right, but like I think that we could get like a different outcome for Jill, for example, like different things happening for her character, for other characters. Like they're kind of like fixing it. Like,
well, it's interesting, right? Because like Resident Evil 4 is a game so many people are familiar with, and it's like it's fun because, you know, it's going to be a brand new interpretation. Like, it's just exciting to see what changed or like what direction it took.
yeah.
Like, it's just genuinely so exciting.
And we've all played it, so many times that we're gonna be like, "That's different. That's different."
So, like, I understand 7. Like it demonstrated. I get that argument, but like to me, it was interesting that like for 8, they go, okay, we got Ethan Winters. We have this character. We have this backstory. I mean, they obviously need they could have done something, I guess, to not bring Kristen so heavily, but like Chris is in that. There's like ties to the past, like revelations, as Huber would put it, like at the end with the documents. It's like, I feel like it's like a crutch at this point. It's like that game would have I don't even think Village needed that stuff either. Like
it was so awkwardly presented, and I complained about it in the spoiler mode, and like it's so obnoxious just having this literal lore room where at the very end of the game you're just walking to document to document.
I loved it though.
No, it was good information. I liked the information. The stuff was interesting, but it just felt like it was very shoehorned in. So
I
think
pull
that
most of that out of there and not have noticed. Yeah.
It had. That's what I love though about it is, and I think what they're trying to do is, and succeeding in a lot of ways. Like they're making a game that's satisfactory to the newcomers who jumped in on 7. Or even 8, and then they're giving little tidbits and things for people who've been there since the beginning, like us, and like even gameplay wise, right? 8 is like a combo of 7 and 4, and I don't know. I just loved the reveal that they had at the end of 8. I don't know.
That's a really good point that you bring up, Isla. Where again, I think Resident Evil is like in this wonderful spot where, like, if you care about Resident Evil lore, there's stuff in 8 that are revelations, like you said, and connect to other things. If Resident Evil Village is your first Resident Evil game ever, you can totally just appreciate that story on its own. Yeah. You absolutely can. And then if you don't care about story at all, the gameplay is good enough that it's just a fun ass survival horror game to play. And so it's like, I think that is why Resident Evil is so successful, is because it can appeal to so many demographics of people.
Yeah, and it strikes that, And I think 8 kind of got back to kind of the best of all worlds of RE, of Resident Evil, where it's like just creepy enough, just campy enough, just action enough, you know, and it's all of it. And then they added in the sexy, you know, with the Duke.
Well, we shall see.
I honestly hope the DLC doesn't focus on Dimitrescu. Like
I think it would be a little, because to me, honestly, it's well, and also
Max
it's just
Pander.
like I want it to explore new avenues, and like a Lady D thing is like, okay, this is cool, but it's just like what we've already seen, kind of. I mean, if it's beforehand, maybe, but
sure, like new information.
Now,
it's such an
if you
interesting
want to,
world, though.
If you want to introduce a new sexy vampire lady,
there you go.
I'm open to it.
Lady D's grandma, there you go.
I mean, they're putting out the VR one, right? So it's like
you've got the Wolverine claws too, right? That's a good VR pitch.
Ooh, yeah.
That,
dude, I just want a mini game where you just keep cutting off Ethan's hand.
Oh, that's the loading screen in the VR version. It's like that environment is so good looking though, and like I would love to just like see it utilized again. You know, just it's so nice, and just learning more about that region is like really nice.
What if in VR, anytime Ethan loses a hand, that controller doesn't do anything until you get it, until it gets reattached?
Big flaring alert just like pops up on that side. It's like the most annoying thing. It's like, you have no hand.
You have no hand.
Oh my god, I want VR. I want you to actually dump the fluid on your hand. You have to go like this and like reattach it.
No, you know what you have to do if your left hand is off. You have to carry the left controller in your right hand with the right controller also.
Gosh. Yeah, it's like we don't detect it. You can't proceed.
Carry your hand in your hand.
These are the
put
things
it
we want
back.
to see, Capcom, for sure. Make it happen.
Important stuff.
Make it happen.
I mean, honestly,
Please reconnect
it just makes me so incredibly happy that Resident Evil is thriving as much as it is. Like, and that we're getting the quality of games that we're getting. Like, it is awesome to see. Yeah. Capcom is one of the greatest video game companies in the world, and I love when they are thriving.
Same, dude. Now, like, if Konami gets back there, everything will be perfect again.
Sure.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Oh, someday.
They got a long, long way.
You got a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh money.
They have so much Yu-Gi-Oh money.
It's so funny, Isla, because like, if they make one incredible Silent Hill game, I forgive you for everything. You know what I mean?
They're back. Like, and then if they sprinkle a little Castlevania on there too, it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that filled 2 hours.
I technically have one last question.
We talked too much.
You have 5 more minutes. I have one last question. It's a simple one. How do you feel if there's no Nintendo Direct?
Oh.
Pretty bummed. Like, because there are things that are cooking that we haven't seen. It'd be great to see. And then there are things that have been announced that we could totally see more of. Yeah. So it would be pretty bummer. Pretty bummer.
I mean, yeah, like, just show us, like, low-key stuff. Like, give us a little more Metal Slug Tactics. Give us a date. Like, give us, just stuff on that scale. Like, it doesn't have to be. Obviously, we all want it to be, like, a Breath of the Wild deep dive, but it doesn't have to be. I would rather that than nothing. Although, I do...
Oh.
I'm a little... Ooh. Personally, I'm a little more neutral because... Just the way that Nintendo operates, like if they don't do it next week, then they'll just do it a couple weeks later. Like it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of, are you going to join the party or are you going to try to throw your own? So
yeah, chat's linking to
apparently it's happening
June 15th,
on Wednesday according to this thing. A leaked.
Oh, that's a rumor.
I received
though,
an
but
email
yeah.
from a developer
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
I'm a content
Nintendo
creator.
rumors, no.
Yeah,
No, thank
Nintendo
you.
rumors are either spot on or completely
No, how do I
wrong.
feel? This is how I feel. This is no. Stop this. Don't do this. Don't break my heart again. I, as I said at the beginning, I'll be really annoyed if they just didn't come out and say they're not doing it. But it's Nintendo. Would not be shocked if they just like, nah, we're good. We got Xenoblade next month. We got Splatoon. We'll do a Splatoon direct at some point. It's in September, and you know what? We'll see you.
But then
we'll see you in
why
September for
wouldn't
September
you?
direct.
We haven't seen that much Xenoblade or that much Splatoon. Like, why wouldn't you get out there and show them off?
For Xenoblade,
the very-
they've
Well, they'll do
they've been
single
posting
ones
a
for
lot
sure
of-
for those
Sure.
games.
They've been posting a lot of updates about Xenoblade, though, for sure, on their social media. There's a ton of like gameplay footage. Mechanics have been explained. I've been ignoring it on purpose, but like, there's a lot. They introduced a new hero today or yesterday in their name and everything. It's like,
Sure, I'm just saying, but like, give
Yeah.
it a bigger platform than that.
also
Yeah.
the special edition goes on sale tomorrow.
Yeah,
You know about that, right? Just-
yeah. Don't
Give
tell
it-
my wife.
I love when Damiani leans into the mic.
Don't tell her, dude. Keep it down. Keep it down. Keep it down. Keep it down.
Keep it down. Yep. All right. I think we all obviously will be bummed and stuff. So this is an
Yeah.
obvious question. But yeah.
Do we know if they're working on another mainline Fire Emblem?
I mean,
They
are,
have
right?
to be.
Certainly.
Of course
At
they
this
are.
point, they probably are. Yeah.
But we don't know anything about it.
They haven't said anything
No,
about
no,
it.
I'm the only one excited for Three Hopes.
I know you really are. I'm like
I really am.
real Fire Emblem. I got so debated by that trailer, dude. Like, I was like, Fire Emblem? Oh. It's like,
Yeah, because everyone was saying it was supposed to be like another remake of an older one or the next main line, and it was like, neither. That is your answer. That's
Yeah.
Nintendo defying expectations. That's very right, Chad.
What are those kind of
Muso?
Muso
Yeah.
games? Muso games are always like that, where it's like very hype for the people into Muso and really disappointing for people who I feel like.
Like, what is the point in me even trying to defend it? Like, I'm not going to
I'm
convince
not
anybody.
saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad.
I'm not going to convince
No.
anybody. Either you're in or you're out. You know?
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's what
I'll
I'm
just be
saying.
in my corner with Three Hopes. It's fine.
I mean,
An age of
I do
calamity.
agree with Ben though that I think there's a lot they do need to probably should be talking about with Nintendo because Pokemon, the first party wise, I mean they're not first party, but like first party ends with Splatoon 3 coming out in September, and then second party ish wise is Game Freak Pokemon Scarlet Violet in November, and it's like, well, are you really not going to talk about any 2023 titles by this point in the year? It feels like they always have something to talk about, and Breath of the Wild doesn't count because they just announced it was delayed. They didn't show any. They didn't really show anything new. They showed a few little snippets, but like, yeah, Bayonetta 3. Like, we need to hear about Bayonetta.
Right.
Like, what's up with Bayonetta 3? Like, how long has it been since Metroid Prime 4? It's like time
Dude,
to show
Bayonetta 3.
something. It's time to show something. It's not
Yeah.
coming out this year, but it's like it's time to show something. Retro's been working on for a few years now. Come on, like you gotta show
They
something.
have been. They went back to the drawing board, like 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it?
It was like
More than that by now.
Release the
3 or 4.
Bayonetta.
yeah.
And when's Mario Soccer or whatever?
Yep.
Strike,
No, that's
Striker?
this.
No,
this
that's
month.
coming out
That's this month.
Friday.
That's gonna be out beforehand.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like I mean, what are the internal teams working on? What is Koizumi's
Trilogy?
team working on? Bowser's Fury came out in January 2021, and that was just like a small. It was nice. It was great. Showed a lot of potential, but like wasn't a large scale thing. It was an add-on to a port of a Wii U game. And it's like,
Yeah. Give us a full game of
Is
that.
it Odyssey 2? Is it is it like a full scale Bowser's Fury? Is it a 3D Donkey Kong? Like, what is it? Like, we just want to see it.
I know we're right at the end, but I gotta take a quick break. We'll be back.
Oh yeah, we're definitely.
We'll
at the
just end it. Just end
Yeah.
it.
Well.
I gotta go before it gets dark. Or I'm gonna get
All
mugged.
right. Well, thank you, three of you, for joining me. Hopefully, that was an enjoyable discussion, and thank you everyone who subbed and
loved
resubbed during all that. And
Yeah, we kind of missed you. Sorry.
what's tomorrow? What streams are tomorrow? If anything?
Don and I are streaming
Okay.
at noon. It'll be remote, just because I'm not I'm not like safe to be around until tomorrow night, I guess.
You dangerous.
I dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get dangerous.
And most
That's tomorrow. I think that's it.
yeah.
Tomorrow.
Well, and then we should all be back 10:30 a.m. Pacific time Thursday morning for the pre-show. Our pre-show will start roughly around then for Summer Game Fest live kickoff, and Devolver some stuff right after too. So got a bunch of stuff Thursday, bunch of reactions. So look forward to it. All right, I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone on the call here. Bye, Ben. Bye, Ella. Bye,
Bye.
Blood, and bye, chat. See ya.